Alright, guys, today we'll be covering 10 things that I wish I knew before going into calculus. First of all, I just like you guys to look at this light bulb real quick. This really, really peaceful, nice light bulb. Okay, never mind. Okay, so tip number one. Remember this, okay? Tip number one. Tip number one. Calculus builds on basics, okay? So if you don't know your basics, you're gonna get cooked on calc, okay? So it's sort of like a pyramid, okay? So you have a pyramid, you got three levels basically. So you got algebra, like your x, y, stuff like that. You know pretty much what that is. I hope at least. Then moving on to trig, you got some trigs. You got some sine, cosecant, sine again. I don't know why I did that, but it's fine. Cosine, cosecant, whatever you want. And then on the top, you got the big C. You got calculus. Okay, so if you don't know your like basics, like your algebra, like if you don't know that like 2 + 2 = 4, then I don't know, but you might be cooked. But it's not too late. Okay, just remind yourself, lock in. Okay, don't worry about it. All right, that's tip number one. Okay, tip number two. Moving on to tip number two. So here we got tip number two. Tip number two. You have to understand why. Okay, we all know that 2 + 2 = 4, but why? Cause 2 + 2 = 4. That's pretty easy, right? So now, like, let's say you have a graph right here, right? Let's say you have a graph, and you go, it looks like this, right? So you might be wondering, like, why does the graph behave this way? So you have, like, let's say it's y = x². So, like, why exactly does this do this? So that's what essentially calculus tries to figure out, you see. So you always want to find the why, okay? And calculus, people say that calculus is useless and that math itself is useless. But I'm here to say that is such cap, okay? Because look, you have a car, okay? Let's say you're on a car. Let's say you're going 25 miles per hour, let's say. That's calculus, okay? That uses derivatives, all right? Let's say you have a water jug or something like that. Let's say it's leaking at like 1 drop per minute or something like that. That's calculus, okay? Everything you encounter in your life, in fact, most of the things you encounter in your life, if not all, is calculus based, okay? So tip number two, as I said before, is to understand the why. All right, moving on to tip number three. Tip number three is you have to know about limits. And if you don't know what limits are, it essentially shows what like a graph approaches. So let's say you have the same graph again. So you might be like, let's say this is 3. So you might be like, what is the limit as x approaches 3? And this means that what is the y value approaching as x approaches 3? You can see that let's say that this is, let's say it's 2, for example. You might be like, oh, then the limit of 3 approaches 2. And this essentially forms the fundamental thing of calculus, okay? So you see that limits are your best friend, okay? They're your number one best friend, okay? So you got to remember that, okay? And trust me, limits are the blueprint, okay, to calculus. If you don't understand limits, I'm sorry to say you might be cooked, okay? But yeah, all right, that's tip number three. Tip number four. Tip number four, it says that it's not all memorization, okay? You have to understand concepts, okay? Concepts, okay? You want to understand concepts over memorization, okay? Anyone can memorize the digits of pi, but only very few people know how to derive what pi even is, okay? I want you to think about that real quick. You know that, let's say you have a function, you know how to solve a function, like you know how to solve it, but you're not memorizing, you understanding the concept and going forth with that, okay? So where would this work? Let's think about this, right? Calc, you got the product rule, okay? Product rule, you got the quotient rule, and stuff like that. You don't just memorize them, you use them all throughout calc, okay? Trust me, I felt this exact same way you guys are feeling right now, and I got cooked on my first test. May or may not have gotten a 65%, but it's fine. Don't worry about it, because I still locked in for the rest of the marking period. Alright, that's tip number four. Tip number five. Tip number five. Graphing. Now, I know not everyone likes graphing, but it's fine, okay? Graphing is one of the most important things in calculus, okay? 95% of things you learn in calc are from graphing. I mean, not really. Maybe like 92%. But it's fine, okay? You're trying to find the area of a square, okay? Area equals s squared, okay? Stuff like that. Everything involves math, and especially this. if you're given you can solve problems such as like if you have a square and you're like, oh, if the side increases by 2 centimeters per minute, how much does the area increase or something like that. This is where calculus comes into a standpoint, because if you're in real life, let's say you have, for example, let's say you have, let's say there's like a lamppost or something. Let's say you have a person standing right here, and hypothetically speaking, let's say you wanted to figure out how far the distance of this is changing. This, let's say this is x. How much this is changing with respect to this. You can use calculus to figure that out. Okay, and graphs, my friend, or your best friend. Okay, now I want you to deeply think about these. Okay, these are your mantra. Okay, I want you to repeat after me. Graphs are everything. Okay, remember that. Graphs are everything. Okay, and don't just rely on my boy Desmos right here. Okay, I know Desmos can help you a lot. Okay, now that the SAT is allowing the use of Desmos, but still, okay, you want it, as I said before, concepts over memorization. You want to know how to use Desmos, but like still, like it's fine. Okay, that's tip number 5. Okay, now moving on to tip number 6. Okay, tip number 6. Practice, practice, practice. Okay, I know I'm being your like first grade teacher saying practice, practice, practice. Okay, but it's fine. Okay, you practice is important. Okay, I want you to set aside. Okay, I want you to make a goal for yourself. Set aside 15 minutes per day. Okay, that's not a lot. Okay, that's like looking at like 15 shorts videos. Okay, just take it like that. Okay, instead of like just going scroll, 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 you can be like, oh, x squared plus y squared. Okay, I'm not making you look like a nerd, but like just saying that I'm telling you it will help you in the long run. Okay, so that's tip number 6. Moving on to tip number 7. Tip number 7. Mistakes. Okay, I would like to talk about this for a second. So everyone thinks, oh, you had a mistake, you're such a stupid person. No, you're not stupid. Okay, you are just learning. Okay, I made a bunch of errors, okay, in my life, and my face turned out to be like this every single time. Okay, and I'm sure that your face probably looked like this. If it didn't, good for you, but if it did, it's fine. Okay, mistakes are what actually make you better. Okay, so the next time you end up like that, just remember, every time you end up like this, you'll eventually turn into this. Okay, you'll be a happy little individual soul living their high school life. Okay, number 8. Tip number 8. Okay, applications. Okay, this is what I talked about. Math has applications. Okay, it's not just some like random subject you learn in school and you just forget the second you get to home. Okay, let's say you're going to Dorney Park or something, like roller coaster area or something, Six Flags, whatever you have. You're going up, down, up, down, up, down. What does this look like to you? I wonder. A graph. Isn't that exciting? It's fine. Okay, never mind. Okay, yeah, that. And so you want to remember that math has tons and tons of applications. Okay, it's not just some like random subject. Okay. Okay, now moving on to tip number 9. Almost done. Tip number 9, resources. Okay. Now, I'm not sponsored in any way, shape, or form, but these are some resources you could use. YouTube. You're watching one right now. Okay, you can use this. You can use Khan Academy. Okay, Khan Academy offers some great courses back in the day. I still use it sometimes to this day too, and it's really, really a lifesaver when it comes into like studying for exams and stuff like that. So you can use that. Also, your textbook. Use your textbook. It's there for a reason. Your teacher gave it to you not to let it sit on your shelf for like 6 months and then when you go back to school to give it. No. You use the textbook, okay? And if you don't want to use the textbook, make the teacher explain it to you, okay? The teachers have a job of teaching. You want to make them do that job, okay? All right. Tip number 10, the last final tip. Now, tip number 10 is just fear, okay? We all know the sensation when you get on a test, you see an A+, you're like, yay, and then you get the exact same test back, let's say, and then you just see this, and you're like, okay, I might be cooked. See, some people could be like this, okay? So, I don't know if you're like this, but if you are, then I don't know. But most people, I'm hopefully thinking that you guys are end up being like that. And that doesn't mean take every single test seriously, right? It's good to be a little bit disappointed in yourself it really shows that you also put an effort, unless you just didn't study and wing it. But some people do that and they pass, and I don't know what to say for that. But don't be that guy, okay? And just remember, everyone's there for you, okay? You can ask your teachers. Your teachers are there. Your friends are there, okay? You can always ask them, okay? Unless they just show you some random TikTok video and you're getting cooked, but it's fine. So in conclusion, okay, we covered a bunch of tips today, okay? Just remember that don't sleep on your basics, okay? Know why. I want you to master your limits, okay? And focus on understanding, loving your graphs, and practice daily. Practice makes perfect. Isn't just a saying, bro. It's a lifestyle, okay? Now, let's roast derivatives together, okay? So see you guys next time, and hope you guys subscribe and follow for more exclusive content like this.